Hello, my name is Neil Bremer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Elmhurst Art Museum. I'd like to welcome you to this presentation, a synopsis and exploration of the work of Andre Ferrella, who describes himself as an artist of the spirit. As with many artists throughout the ages, he is inspired to use the visual medium for expressing the divine, the universal truth, spirituality, and beauty. Ferrella believes his art is intuitive and therefore can be a catalyst for the spiritual experience in which universal truth is manifested. This truth confronts the sense of separateness and illuminates the experiential path towards the realization of mutual interconnectedness, at-one-ment, and ultimately universal wisdom. Andre Ferrella has dedicated his life to this principle. Ferrella's awakening as an artist began in 1965 when he was 12 years of age. Untrained, Ferrella intuitively knew the materials and techniques needed to create artistic depth, clarity, and a sense of meaning. His desire to communicate his perception of the reality of God not only expressed itself in his early works, but through his exploration of yoga and the reading of many books on spirituality. This became the foundation for his spiritual beliefs and his creative process. By the time he was 16 years of age, his still life paintings began to resemble the realist works of the 19th century Dutch masters. Museums became his second home, where he studied the language of art and the techniques of the masters, and took cues from Rembrandt and Peter Paul Rubens, his favorite artists. Ferrella learned to duplicate their displays of luminosity and shadow or depth in his own work. This still life, similar to many works from the 16th and 17th centuries, is filled with allegory. The Bible on the bottom represents faith, and together with the two other books in red and blue, characterize the United States. His initials, ADF, appear on the left and stood for Andrea Doria Ferrella, his given name. His father's initials appear on the right, JFF, James Francis Ferrella, and the coconut represents Ferrella as a young man. The lantern is symbolic of the light of the world. Throughout this time, Ferrella became fascinated by glass because of its transparency, refraction, reflection, and the interaction with light. This became an important factor for his future works and his inspiration for finding new ways of capturing light. This depiction of light became symbolic of the beauty, sensuality, and the spirit Ferrella senses in all of creation. Indeed, he feels there is no greater purpose for his art than to confirm and to convey the existence of the divine. His love of spirituality is at the heart of all of his work. Ultimately, Ferrella became so fascinated with light that he began to use photography as a means of expression. He invented a system for painting onto photosensitive materials using a sort of airbrush that emits light rather than paint. Ferrella paints wet, meaning he utilizes his own unique process for continually circulating developer over the photographic material while he manipulates the light. Eventually, Ferrella began painting onto his photographic negatives so that his photographs resemble paintings. These photographs symbolize images of the eye as the entrance to the soul. The eye is a very powerful component in human communication and knowledge. Photographing the human eye and altering the negative's structure produces an image that suggests a relationship between human power and knowledge and universal power and knowledge. This metaphor is explicit in the simplicity of the eye as viewed microcosmically, and the consistency of that image to the macrocosm. They not only appear as eyes, but simultaneously appear as cosmic galaxies. The eye takes the shape of the universe, the iris is a planet, and the pupil becomes a black hole. As you stand before these images, the viewer is challenged by two simultaneous questions. What is inside of me, and where do I fit in the universe? In 1994, Ferrella discovered an act of nature that brought together the arts and sciences in a unique way and called them the living pictures. These living pictures are also known as the mold picture process. Discovered in his photographic laboratory, which the Chicago Tribune quoted as an alchemist's lab, Ferrella noticed that microorganisms were transforming his negatives through the organic process of decay and growth. Utilizing this organic process in the creation of art brought about a new and unique development in the field of photography. Not only are they beautiful as pieces of intricate organic art with their colors, shapes, textures, and designs, but they also convey the world of science in terms of micro and macro similarity theories, string theory, and the creation of the universe. The relationship to cosmology and the Big Bang theory have made the living pictures a unique discovery across the world. They were first published by the Eastman Kodak Corporation for the premiere exhibition in Germany at America House's 50th anniversary in 1996. The Smithsonian Institute's Natural Museum of American History has used the living pictures in a workshop titled Water, the Creative and Destructive Forces. Hubert Beck, curator at the Museum für Moderne Kunst in Frankfurt, states, "With his discovery and development of the mold picture process, Ferrella retraces and completes William Henry Fox Talbot's search for the pencil of nature, a book written in 1844 by Talbot, who, as one of the discoverers of photography, sought to make photography the language of nature." In 1997, the living pictures were published internationally in the scientific community by Promega Corporation, a world leader in biotechnology. Photographic film is composed of food gelatin, a nutrient suitable for microorganisms to survive, similar to that of a petri dish. What fascinated Ferrella was how the microscopic organic structures in these pictures resembled the structures he saw in higher-order systems, such as star structures and galaxies. Juxtaposing the living pictures with images he found from the Hubble Space Telescope and the electron microscope, he discovered an incredible similarity between the microscopic images of the living pictures and the macroscopic world of deep space. This is an example of what Ferrella terms a synchronistic universe, or a universe connected via a microtic and macrotic system. The piece seen here, measuring 18 feet by 4 feet, is a wonderful example of the inherent intelligence of the mold picture process. Even though the photographs were taken of portions of 3 different Egyptian sarcophagi at the British Museum in London, they reformed themselves into a single image of a complete sarcophagus from consecutive negatives, speaking to the theory held by many, such as the world-renowned author and lecturer Deepak Chopra, concerning the innate intelligence of the universe. Kevin Lynch, critic for the Capital Times, writes, "The work brings to mind the evocative documentary power of the Shroud of Turin. Ferrella shows how well a good artist can enhance nature and perhaps even unlock a mystery or two. The living pictures, which contained fractal-based organic structures, led Ferrella to begin the Soul Portrait series, which are distinctive fractal creations of an individual's unique facial appearance. Each portrait begins with and evolves from the concept of the third eye. Because every individual is unique, each soul portrait is distinctive, even though Ferrella uses a similar process to create all of them. Fractals, by nature, have an organic equation, so each portrait is remapped over and over onto itself infinitum. Viewers have commented that these portraits have an ability to capture what a soul looks like from the inside. Ferrella has spent time creating works depicting the purity of nature, showing the wonderment contained in our remarkable earth. Scientifically, flowers contain a translucent beauty which is inherent in their cell structure. They are mainly composed of water, which allows light to pass into their petals and refract and reflect back to the observer, creating a striking luminosity and glow. Now, photography itself utilizes a similar process. Light passes through the layers of colored gelatin, bouncing off of the white of the photographic paper, and reflects back through the gels to the observer, capturing the vitality, delicate complexity, and vivid luminosity of flowers. With their deep saturation of color, these images are an excellent example of the magnificent creativity and meticulous structure found in our natural world. Continuous experimentation with different techniques, materials, and media resulted in a new body of work called spirit boxes. Within the spirit boxes, Ferrella places portraits of faces and figures, manipulating them in a way which evoke a sense of transformed reality, creating a beckoning of the spiritual realm. Viewers of the spirit boxes have commented that Ferrella has the ability to show us what the other side looks like. These images grew out of a commission from Art to the Nth, a collaborative art laboratory in Chicago that creates virtual photography. Here, a two-dimensional Buddha has been created in which the image actually appears to exist in real three-dimensional space. The movement of the light from the third eye and the flickering water create a mesmerizing effect that allows one to drift into meditation and contemplation. Using the faces of children transparently over the face of Buddha creates a sense of inherent innocence. The MasterWorks series begins with photographs of masterpieces from museums around the world. Ferrella recombines elements from within the masterpiece itself in new ways, much like Fred Wilson reinstalls museum galleries, twisting established preconceptions. Ferrella urges the viewer to rethink the original work in terms of its smaller components. Combining these distinct elements with pieces of his own original works, he transforms both creations and in the process generates a new work. Similar to the concept of sampling within the music industry, he has found a way to apply this technique to the visual arts, creating works of art both dependent on and independent of the original pieces. Andre Ferrella creates multimedia works presenting the dynamic universe as a transforming metaphysical world. Using color and light as a sort of healing energy, he encourages the viewer to contemplate a feeling of serenity. One of his multimedia works, entitled Blue Star, was selected to be shown at the Sony Center in Berlin and has been viewed by thousands of people from around the world on Sony's enormous video screen. Andre Ferrella is an artist inspired by his sense of place in the universe and the role spirituality plays in our collective lives. He seeks, as in a way we all seek, tranquility and wisdom. But, as an artist, he moves beyond self-fulfillment, continuing to explore new ways to present the spiritual and ethereal as the tangible, enabling you and I to look, ponder, and perhaps begin our own journeys into what lies beyond.